Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a lot of you have been asking for, a detailed breakdown of Dragon's Dogma 2 versus Monster Hunter World. Now I know what you're thinking. Aren't these completely different games? And honestly, you're right. But here's the thing, both dropped by Capcom, both have you fighting massive creatures, and both have this addictive gameplay loop that'll make you lose track of time. So in this video, we're going to break down everything, the combat, the exploration, the story, the grind, basically everything that matters. If you're trying to decide which one to pick up, or if you're just curious about how these two stack up against each other, stick around because we're covering it all. Let's jump in. All right, first things first, let me give you the quick rundown of what we're dealing with here. Dragon's Dogma 2 came out in March 2024, so it's the newer game. It's an open-world action RPG made by Capcom, and the premise is you're this dude or girl called the Arisen. Basically, a dragon picked you to fight it and steal your heart. Yeah, it sounds wild because it is. You're exploring this massive open world with two kingdoms at war, unraveling this deep story about cycles, destiny, and whether you're actually in control of your own fate. Heavy stuff, honestly. Monster Hunter World came out back in 2018. It's part of the iconic Monster Hunter franchise, and the concept is way more straightforward. You're a hunter. Your job? Hunt monsters. Kill them, trap them, carve them up, make gear out of their parts, rinse and repeat. That's the core loop, and it absolutely works. The game sold millions of copies for a reason. Then Iceborne dropped in 2019 as a massive expansion, and that's when things got really serious. So here's the setup. Dragon's Dogma 2 is about narrative, freedom, and exploring an open world at your own pace. Monster Hunter World is about mastering combat against increasingly difficult monsters and optimizing your gear. Two totally different vibes, but both are incredible in their own ways. Now, this is where things get interesting, because these two games handle combat so differently. Let me start with Monster Hunter World. The combat here is all about patience and timing. It's honestly closer to Dark Souls than your typical action game, but it's more forgiving. Every action matters. You can't just mash buttons and expect to win. You've got 14 different weapon types, greatsword, sword and shield, dual blades, all the way up to crazy stuff like the hunting horn. Each weapon has a completely unique moveset and playstyle. Like, if you're using dual blades, you've got this demon mode where you go berserk, dual-wielding these fast attacks while your stamina drains. It's nuts. But if you switch to the greatsword, suddenly you're this slow, methodical tank, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash this devastating charged attack. The monster fights themselves, they're like chess matches. You watch the monster, you learn its patterns, you figure out when it's vulnerable, and then you strike. You also have tools like the Slinger, which lets you shoot environmental hazards at monsters to stun them or create openings. It's tactical, it's cerebral, and when you finally take down that monster that's been kicking your ass for an hour, man, that feels good. Dragon's Dogma 2 is the complete opposite. Combat here is flashy, chaotic, and all about experimentation. You've got 6 different vocations, basically classes, and each one plays completely differently. You're a warrior, you're heavy hitting, you've got shield bashes, you're controlling the battlefield with sheer force. Switch to Mystic Archer, now you're teleporting around, raining arrows on enemies, guiding them like they're homing missiles. The animations are insane, like your character actually feels powerful, not just mechanically, but visually. There's this visceral weight to everything. But here's the big difference. In Dragon's Dogma 2, you can pick your abilities, you can customize your spells, you can create weird synergies that the game probably didn't intend but absolutely work. A mage can summon walls and platforms to control battles. You can knock enemies off cliffs, you can set them on fire, freeze them, paralyze them, buff your entire party. It's creative. There's also this AI pawn system where you bring 3 allies, your main pawn, and 2 recruits, and they fight alongside you. They learn from your playstyle, they give you intel on enemies, and honestly, watching them execute a plan you didn't even tell them to do is pretty satisfying. So Monster Hunter is precision, patient, methodical. Dragon's Dogma is explosive, creative, experimental. If you like learning patterns and executing perfect dodges, Monster Hunter's your game. If you like feeling like a superhero, throwing lightning and teleporting around, Dragon's Dogma's calling your name. This is another massive difference, and honestly, I think it's one of the biggest reasons someone would pick one game over the other. Monster Hunter World has these distinct zones. You go into a mission, you're dropped into a location like the ancient forest or the coral highlands, and you hunt. The zones are beautifully designed, they're interactive, there are environmental traps, monster territories, all this cool stuff to interact with. But it's still mission-based. You select a quest, you go there, you complete it, you come back. The world is alive and interconnected, but it's not a true open world. Dragon's Dogma 2, it's a genuine open world experience. You get dumped into this world and you can literally just walk in any direction. No quest markers telling you where to go, no compass points. If NPCs mention a cave or a town, they'll describe it and you have to actually find it by exploring. And get this, there are 0 loading screens. Everything is seamless. You're climbing a mountain, you crest the top, and suddenly you see a massive city in the distance, and you can literally walk there. Enemies will follow you across the entire map if you're not careful. The design philosophy here is inspired by Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas, games where the act of traveling between points is part of the adventure. A director literally said he didn't believe in fast travel if the world isn't worth exploring, and this game proves him right. Every nook and cranny has something. Caves, dungeons, treasure, NPCs with side quests. Your pawns will literally poke you like, hey, there's a place that way with treasure, and you'll end up on this wild detour that becomes one of your favorite memories from the game. So if you want guided, mission-focused gameplay with incredible monster design, Monster Hunter is your pick. If you want the freedom to explore, wander, stumble into crazy situations, and genuinely discover the world, Dragon's Dogma 2 wins that category without question. Let's talk about why we actually care about these games beyond just the mechanics. Monster Hunter World's story is okay, honestly. You're a hunter, there's this mysterious force called the New World, and there are these massive creatures called elder dragons that are showing up. Your mission is to figure out what's happening and stop it. It's serviceable. The characters are cool, the setting is cool, but the story takes a back seat to the hunting. And that's totally fine. Monster Hunter was never about complex narratives. It's about the experience of hunting. Dragon's Dogma 2 is something else entirely. This game has a legitimately complex story about cycles, destiny, free will, and existential dread. The Arisen is chosen by this dragon, and you've got to find and defeat it, but along the way, you're caught between 2 warring kingdoms with their own agendas. There's this massive twist involving a being called the Seneschal that basically rules the world through willpower. And the game explores this idea. If you're destined to defeat the dragon, are you actually free? Are your choices even real? Or are you just playing out a predetermined script? It's heavy. The NPCs are genuinely interesting. They have their own storylines, their own motivations. Some of them might betray you. Some might sacrifice themselves. The story actually changes based on your choices, and that's rare for action games. Plus, there's this whole pawn system where your custom pawn can actually become their own entity and make decisions you can't control. So yeah, if story matters to you, Dragon's Dogma 2 is in a different league. Monster Hunter is about the gameplay loop, and that's its charm. Okay, this is where we talk about the long-term gameplay and what keeps you coming back for dozens of hours. In Monster Hunter World, progression is all about gear. You hunt a monster, it drops materials. You use those materials to craft and upgrade weapons and armor. Every piece of gear has skills and abilities attached to it. The endgame is about optimizing your builds. You're farming the same monsters over and over, but you're doing it to perfect your loadout.
Low rank, high rank, master rank, each tier gets progressively harder and you're constantly upgrading. The grind is real, but it's satisfying because you can literally feel yourself getting stronger. That sword and shield user from low rank becomes an absolute monster by the time they hit master rank. Iceborne, the expansion, took this to another level. Master rank monsters are absolutely vicious. You're farming decorations from monster investigations, trying to piece together the perfect build. Some people spend hundreds of hours just optimizing their gear. And honestly, a lot of people love that. It's goal-oriented, it's measurable, and there's always something to grind for. Dragon's Dogma 2 does progression differently. You level up your character, you level up your vocations separately, and each vocation has its own skills tree. You're not really grinding in the Monster Hunter sense. You're exploring, doing quests, fighting enemies, and naturally progressing. The pacing is much slower and more organic. There's no endgame grind in the traditional sense. And once you've beaten the main story and done the side content, that's kind of it. Some people love that. You play the game, you experience it, you're done. Others feel like it's lacking that long-term replayability. So here's the deal. Monster Hunter World is for people who want to sink 200 hours into perfecting their build. Dragon's Dogma 2 is for people who want a complete story-driven experience that respects your time but doesn't demand it.
Let's talk about how hard these games actually are. Monster Hunter World has a steep learning curve. Low rank is actually pretty gentle, which is weird because you'd expect Monster Hunter to start you off hard. But high rank, that's where the difficulty spike happens. And master rank, that's where things get absolutely ridiculous. The endgame monsters like arch-tempered variants are genuinely challenging, even for experienced players. But here's the thing. The game gives you tools to succeed. You can farm better gear, you can learn monster patterns, you can adjust your strategy. The difficulty is fair, but it absolutely demands respect. Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't have difficulty settings at all. No easy, normal, hard options. Instead, the game supposedly auto-adjusts based on your playstyle and equipment. Is it actually doing that? Honestly, it's hard to tell. What we do know is that the early game feels pretty forgiving. You can tank hits, your pawns help you out, and there's not a ton of complexity required. But as you progress and face harder enemies, you need better gear, better tactics, better understanding of your vocation. It's not impossibly hard, but it respects your skill level more as you get stronger. The thing is, Monster Hunter expects you to grind and learn. Dragon's Dogma 2 lets you just experience the game. If you are struggling, you level up, you find better gear, you come back. Neither approach is wrong, it just depends on what you want from your game. So there you have it, 2 incredible games from Capcom, 2 completely different experiences. One's about mastering your craft and becoming the ultimate hunter. The other is about freedom, exploration, and saving the world in whatever way you see fit. If this video helped you decide which game to play, or if you're thinking about diving into both, let me know in the comments which one you're leaning towards. And hey, if you liked this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more gaming content, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.